Do you want to learn all the tools that will make of you a professional in SketchUp for web? If so, then just continue watching. In this tutorial, I'm gonna be making a full house for you to explain all the tools that you will need to create an architectural project. But for now, without any further ado, let's jump into screen recording to show you all of that. Welcome back to Tips with Mona. This is our second tutorial of explaining SketchUp for web. If you haven't watched my previous video where I explained the introduction to SketchUp for web, then I'll link it in the iCards above. Please make sure to watch it before you start this video. If you haven't seen my face before, hi, my name is Mona Abou Fayad. I'm an architect and a designer. On this platform, I explain some architectural and designing content. Please make sure to subscribe, like, share, comment, and hit the notifications bell on so you can get notified whenever I upload a new video. But for now, let's start. So I'll start a new project. I'll select decimal meters. So this is where I want to start from. So first thing I want to do is that I want to create a house to make sure that we are using the most required tools in SketchUp and to make it easier for you. So let's start. First thing I want to do is that I want to start by the floor of this house or with the walls of this house. So I'll go to my rectangle tool, I'll click on it, I'll select rectangle, and then I'll make sure that I'm drawing on the blue axis by pressing on my keyboard the upper arrow key, and then I'll hit one click here and I'll drag my mouse up, and then I will make sure to give it a dimension. So I'll give it 20 meters. So I'll give it 20, 20. So now this is my perfect square. So now this is the base to my walls, or maybe this is the base to my also floor. So I used the rectangle tool to create this surface, and now I'm gonna go ahead and show you how I will create the walls. For that, I'm gonna go ahead and use my offset tool. And to find the offset tool, you can go to the push-pull arrow and check this sign, which is for offset, or you can simply hit the F key on your keyboard to activate the offset tool. And then you will notice that your mouse is snapping to the edges of your surface that you've just created. So for that, if you want to enter the value of your offset, you can simply click one click and then move your mouse inward and then just type the distance that you want to offset your walls at. So for me, I'll just type 0.3 and I'll hit enter. So now what SketchUp did is that it separated the two surfaces like that. So this is gonna be my wall. So I'm gonna start with my walls. So I'll go ahead to my push-pull tool, this one right here, or you can activate it by pressing the P key on your keyboard. And then I'm gonna hit one single click on this surface. I'm gonna pull it and I'm gonna type the values. So I want my walls to be 4 meters high. So I'm gonna just type 4 and I'll hit enter. And now, as you can see, I have my walls right here. And then the next thing I want to do is that I want to create a door for my walls. For that, I'm going to go ahead and hit my line tool, or I can type on my keyboard L. So let's just choose this line tool. And then what you need to do is that you need to figure out where you want to place your door. So for me, let's just find the midpoint and I'm going to start drawing. I'll click one single click on my mouse, and then I'm gonna make sure that I'm drawing on the right axis. So I'm gonna hit the upper arrow key on my keyboard to activate the blue axis, and then I'm gonna type the height of my door. So my door, I want my door to be 2.1 meters, and then I'm gonna go ahead to the left and I'm gonna activate the red axis. So I'm gonna hit the red axis on my keyboard by hitting the right arrow key, and then I'm just gonna write the width of my door. So I'm gonna type 1 meter and I'll hit enter, and then I'll go down and again I'll activate my blue axis and I'm gonna just type 2.1 and that's it. So now what we've done again is that we created another surface. So we separated the wall surface from the door surface. And then I'm gonna go ahead and choose again my push-pull tool, or I can simply hit P on my keyboard, and then I'm gonna select this surface, and then I'm gonna push it inside. And what SketchUp does when you push your surfaces inside to the end of the face is that it's gonna create an opening. So if you notice right here, it created an opening. And now the next thing I wanna do is that I wanna create a window next to my door. For that, I'm gonna be using a new tool, which is the guide tool. And you can use your tape or measuring tool to create that. Because one thing that we all know about windows is that windows need to be at a certain height. And usually they end with the door. So for that, you need some guidelines. So I'll show you how I personally use guidelines on SketchUp to make my life easier. So I'll just go to this tool right here, which is called tape measure, and I'm gonna choose the tape measure tool. And then I'm gonna go ahead and put my mouse at the very end of my wall, and then I'm gonna click one single click, and what it will do, it's gonna create just imaginary lines to guide me and to show me where is this height. So for example, let's say that I want to locate my window at 1 meter. So I want my window sill to be at the 1 meter. So I'm just gonna hit 1, enter, and this line is 1 meter. And then I need another line to stop with my door so I can locate my window between these two lines. And then after I finish, I can simply remove them. And then I'm gonna go ahead to this edge of the wall, and then I'm gonna put a line at my door, and then I'm gonna make another line to just to try to find an indication where I want my window to start. So I want my window to start after 50 centimeter of my door. So I'll just type 0.5. So my window will start from here, and then I want my window to be for like 3 meters. So I'm gonna type 3, enter. So this is where I want to locate my window. So now it's much easier for me to know where I want to locate my window. I'll go ahead to my rectangle tool, and I want to just create this rectangle, which is my window. And what it did again is that it separated the face again. And then you can simply just select these lines and hit the delete button, or you can just use this tool, which is the erase tool, to just simply delete your line. Okay, so now I have this surface. I'll go again to my push pull, or I can activate it by P on my keyboard, and then I'm gonna just push this face until I create a void. Sometimes SketchUp can get really tricky and you can't decide if it is really making a void or it's creating another cube inside. So for that, you can just make sure that you are hitting the end by just using a reference, and this reference can be the end of your wall right here. So you can just make sure that you are clicking on edge, and then you can zoom in and make sure that it already created a void. And then the next thing I want to do is that I'm gonna go ahead and select all of this and create a group, because in SketchUp, if you don't create a group for your elements, things will get messed up when you create more elements. So for me, I'd like to make categories. I'd like to make a group for the walls, a group for the windows, a group for the doors, a group for, like, let's say the roof, and so on. Because if you don't create that, believe me, your model will be messed up. Because in the next session I'll be explaining why. For example, if you like put two elements next to each other and try to move one later on, it will drag the other element and it will be really messy in your model. So for that, let's avoid that from the beginning and create a group. And for that, I'm gonna go ahead to my model and triple click on my model. So when you triple click on your model, it will select all the connected faces together. And I'm gonna right click and make a group. So now every time I click on my model, it will select it all because this is a model. And if I want to edit anything inside my model, I can simply just double click and I'm gonna be inside my model, and then I can click outside it to get out of this group. Let's continue. The next thing I want to do is that I want to just create a little bit of extrusion inside this to act as my floor. For that, I'm gonna go ahead to my rectangle tool and I'm gonna just create another surface inside, and I'm gonna go to my push pull and then give it a thickness of, let's say 15 centimeters. All right, so now this is the flooring, and then you can simply triple click, see, and then right click, make a group. So now I have a group for the floor and a group for the walls. And the next thing I want to do is that I want to create a ceiling. So for that, I'm going to go again to my rectangle tool and create a rectangle above. So now this is my ceiling. And then the next thing I want to do is that I want to create a roof. For that, I'm going to show you what I want to do. I want to go ahead and select my line tool, and then I'm going to try to find my midpoint. I'm going to activate the blue axis again with the upper arrow key on my keyboard, and then I'm going to give it a distance for 3 meters, and then I'll just connect my rectangle. So now it just created some surfaces. What I want to do now is that I want to erase this midline right here to make this as a one surface. So by now you should be able to know that lines always split surfaces. All right, whenever you want to split a surface, you will use your line. Okay, but for now, I'm gonna go to my push pull and I'm gonna just create this extrusion till the end of my building. And then I wanna go again into my walls group and select this line right here, right click and hide it. And then again, this line, I'm gonna hide it. So now it looks more like a merged face. And then what I wanna do is that I wanna create a thickened roof. For that, I'm gonna go ahead to my offset tool or F on my keyboard, click on this edge, and then I'm gonna give it a thickness of 0.2. What it did is that it created a frame from my roof, but what I don't need right here is that this lower part of this frame, because as you know, roofs does not come with this part. So for that, I'm gonna use my line to split, and I'm gonna create a line right here to split this face, and I'm gonna another line on the other side, and then I'm just gonna delete these from here. And then what it did is that it created this surface right here. I'm gonna go again to my push pull till the end of my building, and then what I want to do is that I want it to extend a little bit more, so I want to give it 0.2 and another 0.2 from this side. Okay, and after that I'm gonna go ahead and select the whole roof by triple clicking on my roof like this, and then I'm gonna make a group. So now I have a group for the floor, for the walls, and for the roof. After that, I'd like to provide a window and a door for my openings. So for that, I'm gonna go ahead to my rectangle tool or R on my keyboard. I'm gonna find my middle in my window, and then I'm gonna drag this rectangle and then find the middle at the other corner. So now I have this face right here, and then I'm gonna just play around with the frames. So for that, I'm gonna just go to my offset tool and then hit one single click right here and give it the thickness that I want. I want to give it 0.05, and then I'm gonna just create a mullion in the middle. I'll activate my blue axis. So this is the midpoint, and then I'm gonna go ahead to my move tool to show you how to create a mullion in the middle. So this is my midpoint. I created a line, and then I went to my move tool or M on my keyboard, and then I'll hit Control on my keyboard. This is very important. If you hit the Control, you will enter into your copy mode instead of move. So I'll hit Control and you will notice that the plus sign is activated on your move tool. And then I'm gonna go to the right side and type 0.025, enter. And then I'm gonna copy it to the left side again and hit 0.025, and that will make a total of 0.05 to match it with the outer frame. And then I'm gonna just delete the middle line, and then I'll delete these lines in the middle. And you can also create a horizontal mullion, but for now I'm just gonna create these two. And then I'm gonna go ahead to my push-pull tool to extrude the mullions or the frame. I'll just extrude it a little bit more. So now we have this frame and we have these two panels. And then I'm gonna go ahead and do the same for the door. So I'm gonna go to my rectangle tool, I'm gonna find the midpoint, and I'm gonna just connect it to the other corner of the door. And then I'm gonna go ahead to my offset tool, I'm gonna give it a frame of 0.05 meters. And now this is our frame, but as you can notice, the door should not have a frame from the bottom. So for that, I'm gonna go to my move tool, I'm gonna select this line and move it down. Make sure that you're on the blue axis, and like that we've removed the frame. Now I'm gonna go ahead to my push-pull tool or P on my keyboard to just extrude this frame, and I'm gonna match it with the window. And after that, I'm just gonna select my door right like that, right click and make a group. You can also make a component. I'm gonna explain that in the next session, but for now let's just create a group because I don't want to confuse you. And then I'm gonna do the same for my window. I'm gonna select it, right click and make a group. And then let's go to the materials tab right here, and then go to your browse. You can go to your glass and mirror. Let's select something that looks like glass, maybe this blue. Just get inside your window group and color the panel. So now our panels are blue. And then you can also go to your metal materials and select any metal to give to your frames like that. And then I'm gonna go ahead and select my door. I'm gonna enter the group by double clicking on it, and then I'm gonna give it a wood something. I'm gonna give it a wood texture, maybe this one. I'm gonna make sure that I'm covering all the faces of my door, and then I'll just exit the group. I'm gonna go to my roof, double click. I'll go to my roofing tab. I'm gonna select something from here, and then I'm gonna exit the group, and I'm gonna find some nice color for my facade. Let's say that we wanna color it as this color, maybe. I'm gonna enter the group and I'm gonna give it this color.
So this was the end of our second tutorial of explaining SketchUp for web. In the next tutorial, I'm gonna continue explaining SketchUp for web, but for that, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share, and hit the notifications bell on so you can get notified whenever I upload a video. Don't forget to repeat this series to get the maximum experience in SketchUp. See you in the next one.